right, well, welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm literally running around here with my head cut off. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMTrain.tv, where every day we're doing great FileMaker training. Welcome to Monday for all of you who are late to the day. It is Monday. We have a lot of exciting things going on this week with FileMaker. Margaret, are you there? Confirm.
I am here.
If you go to FMTrain.tv, we have this website which works pretty well. The data is live and dynamic. So today is going to be dynamic window management. And really, it just should be called window management or understanding what the hell all of my options are in the world of FileMaker. We've never presented the material this way before. So this is going to be a kind of a different deal for kind of beginnerish to intermediate people. Real quick, if you want to support the channel, I know it's all free, mostly free, but some of you purchased the subscriptions. We greatly appreciate the subscription purchases. We just renew it. It helps keep the piggy bank rolling with Margaret and keeps her funded so she can continue to bring you awesome content. So today we're going to be talking about controlling your screen, and the topic is focused on everything that has to do with basically managing real estate. I should probably put this in text on here, managing real estate. So let's talk about that. So I'm going to slide to the right. Today's conversation is mostly for people who are brand new, but in between in here, there's a lot of folks in here and then a lot of people over here. I kind of live somewhere over here because I don't code enough to be a full senior, super senior. I've been around long enough to know what I don't know, and I know who to call and ask if I get stuck on something that's super over on this end. So my experience is super high-end ninja, but I don't do super deep coding. I hang out here with a lot of you folks here in terms of my skill set. So let's talk about today's topics. So window and screen control. We will look at all the options. The topics never presents as why I mentioned this, right? So moving forward, this is our standard situation. So we're going to assume the solution is on FileMaker server. It doesn't have to be, but it's on FileMaker server because then we're going to talk about Pro, and we're going to talk about Go, and we're going to talk about WebDirect, and then we'll get into some of the nicer things with those. So first off, opening it. So we're going to walk through this kind of logically. We're opening a solution in FileMaker. Okay. So on FileMaker Pro, this initial part of this conversation is about Pro. Okay. And so when you open a FileMaker solution, FMP12 file, it will spawn one window. That's a universal truth. That's a truth of life for all three clients: Pro, Go, and WebDirect. Pro is Mac and Windows. Go is iOS, whatever iOS. WebDirect is a browser that can run on almost anything, including Android devices. That's where you get your Android access, okay? There will be some differences. We will call those out. However, when you open a solution, you're always going to get at least one window, and that's the same on all three of these, okay? So moving forward, so at this point, we've opened a FileMaker solution. We have one visible window. The window has been explicitly opened. Now I'm going to say this and I'm going to go slower, and I want people to ask questions because it's really important. This is one of those deals that if you're a brand new FileMaker developer, it seems that FileMaker auto manages the windows for you logically, and you don't have to think about it too much, which is really kind of neat. I think I probably was building solutions for 3, 4, or 5 years before I ever really thought about managing the windows. They just kind of worked. It just worked, right? Makes sense. So it's like, So an explicitly open window, after it minimally loads the first layout in the system, that's a loaded thing, but it'll load the first layout. If you're on a hosted environment, it will try to open the last layout that the file was on when it was closed, when it was a single user solution. That's a different topic. I don't want to get into that. That gets into this idea of what is a global field? What are the values of global fields by default in FileMaker? And the answer is 90% of the time they're empty. And then the other 10 or 20% of the time is whatever the values of the globals were when it was last used by a single user without the server, right? Mark, you understand that idea?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
So
an explicitly open file window, after it is minimally loaded, which means it draws the kind of the rectangle on screen, probably a solid white screen or maybe a solid black screen, whatever it's going to do, then it will fire the trigger. The trigger is the on first window open. And typically we call this a startup script, okay? It doesn't have to be called startup script. It could be called doggy doo-doo 55. It doesn't matter, but I use the word startup script because back in the old days, that was actually what they called them, and it wasn't called open first window, it's called startup script run this. So it's kind of a legacy term, but it's pretty concrete in the community. and everyone who's a FileMaker person kind of understands that or can intuit what it means. So this is an explicitly open window, okay? So you have one window open, the window is explicitly open, startup script is running, and it can literally do anything, which means it could open other FileMaker files, it could do some maintenance, it could do some analysis, it could do whatever. In the FM starting point, we try to keep everything running in one window for the most part, right? And so when the startup script is done, it navigates to the home screen and then gracefully stops. That way the user's in a spot where they can make a choice about what they want to do. But that's just CRM or starting point. You could do whatever you wanted, okay? Any questions along the way yet, Margaret? No?
One I know the answer to, but I'll ask anyway. Does a file have to have a startup script? Like, is there
No,
already a
they're
pre-installed
totally
feature?
optional. So let
Got
me just go to FileMaker real quick. Let's open this. So I will just answer the question. So once again, right when it opened and it drew this little bit of a window, then it ran the startup script. What it specifically did, technically, we say ran the startup script. That's slang for saying the window minimally loaded. Then it activated under file options, it activated a on window first open trigger. So on first window open trigger run script startup script. I put numbers on them. Notice also we can run on the last close. It can run a closing script if we want. Notice they're checked. You don't have to run a startup script. These are optional. I can turn them off, turn them on, right? It's not required, but it's super duper handy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hide this for the moment. Okay, we're going to keep going here in our conversation. So we have so the idea is we have one explicitly opened window because we explicitly opened because we basically commanded FileMaker open the window. Magic, so open sesame, right? And so the behavior is the same on Mac and Windows, right? When I say Windows PC, I'm going to say the Windows PC today because we're using the word window or Windows kind of loosely. And so this is what it looks like on the Mac. And so you get this window dialog at the top, and at the bottom will be one or more than one, could be 20 or 30 windows that were explicitly opened. Every time a window is explicitly opened, the on first window trigger. It's not the first window ever ever for the client. When they say on first window, it's on first window for that file. So that's kind of a point of clarity. Let me go back to FileMaker here and make this. So it would be kind of nice if we could run on client opening first, but yeah, so what is this? Is a file. This is there it goes. This is an FMP12 file right here. Okay. And if I go file options, these are file options specifically. So we can open on the first window for this file. We could also have it open on any time we open another window. Because remember, this is the first window open in this session. Session is us logging into the file, right? Once again, we're assuming that's on a FileMaker server. But if you have the file running locally, it's going to do the same thing. The behavior here is the same, okay, on a locally running file. But I always tell people, please use server because then it backs up, it's encrypted, and all sorts of other nice stuff that goes on with the FileMaker server. So that's the first window or every window. Every window has limited usability here. This is back to that script trigger conversation. We kind of talk about this. So I'm going to hit cancel here. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to go back to Keynote, which is right here. So that's where, dang it. There we go. That's where it hangs out right there. So moving forward, you have one visible window. And here's the rub with this, very kind of interesting. You explicitly open another window if you manually or via script step run the new window command. Okay. So you say new window. Now, it also will fire if you run a file script step called open file. So you can actually kind of forcibly cause FileMaker to open windows explicitly, right? If you decide you want to do that. Most people don't think about it that far. As a basic or intermediate developer, you don't really have to worry about this until you start pushing along further forward and your interface gets confusing, or you get into like WebDirect or Go. Even Go's not too bad, but WebDirect, you got to be careful about that. So we'll get that to momentarily here. So I'm going to click over here. And if you do this for each file this is a super important sentence. And I want to make sure we have answer questions about this. If you explicitly open another window, the window could be to your existing file. Like if I go up over here and I go, I'm in here and I'm already have a solutions open. I say, open a new window. Will it open on first window script trigger? No, because the file was A, already open, and B, it already ran that script. Now, if I open a file that's on the same server, but not the same FMP12 file, it will be the first time the window is being drawn on screen, drawn on screen at all, and it's going to fire off the startup script or that on that first window trigger. So that makes sense. So what a lot of times when we say we do training, we'll say, well, if you explicitly open a window, it's going to fire the script, the on first window. Well, only if the file wasn't already open. That makes sense. So I need to be very clear about that, right, Margaret? Are we clear? Super clear?
Yes.
So then, so that's the operative thing. If the file has not already had the on first window trigger fired, then it will fire it. Okay, it's kind of a one-time deal during the session. Okay, now so I keep going back to this scenario. You have window open. Okay, if your currently open solution has a relational dependency upon another FMP12 file, so you have a relationship, and you connect that relationship to another FMP12 file. I'm not going to get into when it's going to attempt to open the other file. Whenever FileMaker decides it needs the data, it's going to go and pop open. It's like, hey, FileMaker needs a cold frosty beverage. It's going to open the refrigerator. It's going to open the refrigerator and do what it needs to do to make that happen. It's thirsty. It's going to get a drink. So it's going to pop open this other file. When it pops open the other file, that is what we call an implicit open. Okay. There's no startup script on implicit open. Okay, because the file is open in a hidden state. The file is hidden. It's there, it's open. If you know where to look, you can see it, the fact that it's actually open, you've opened it, but it's not really front facing. It hasn't drawn a window on screen, so it's hidden. So what Claris did is we're going to see it here momentarily. You still have one visible explicit window. You have one or more hidden windows because you open those with a relationship, typically. So down here are your explicit windows. Up here, normally it's hidden. You don't see anything. You'll see a little bracket right here. If there's nothing in there, it'll be grayed out. But if you click on it, it'll show you with parentheses all the implicitly opened files. These files are implicitly open. They're open to support. There's like a supporting cast, right? It's like the Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Actor. These are all your Best Actor, Best Actress, kind of stuff. These are all supporting animal handler for the golden retriever that was in the movie for 30 seconds. These are all the supporting people. They don't get awards. The best supporting dog actor, the best supporting cat, right? So they'll be listed in here. Now, if you come over here and click on it, you're telling it to explicitly open the window. It's a FMP12 file is open. The window is hidden. It's going to come to the front, and then the trigger is going to go, oh, it's an on first window open because you've opened the window explicitly because you've told it to do so. Now it's going to run the startup script. So you need to be thinking about the startup scripts that might be over here that might fire if you manually go in there and start rummaging around. Does that make sense?
Yes. What happens if you hit bring all to front? Will that drag implicitly hidden windows?
No. You have to actually go and drag these deliberately manually. Bring all the front. I almost never use these cascade windows and tile and all this kind of stuff. I almost never use this stuff. But yeah, it's only going to manipulate the implicit windows that are open. Okay.
Is that the same for scripting?
And this,
like when you control windows through scripts, it will ignore implicit windows?
If you start doing, what was the comment about that? I kind of got rid of that, but basically, okay, remember what scripts are at the end of the day. A script is a automated process that you're telling FileMaker to do stuff for you at very high speed. It's like really instructing a user. It's very linear. It's fast, but it's a very linear, non-multi-threaded process that you're going to call, which means that run this script and you say, go to this other file, go to this layout, form a find, grab the bottom record, copy the value, and bring it back. Well, you're telling the user, I am a robot.
Yes.
It's going to go there. And when it goes to that window, it's going to cause the on start script to fire. Okay. We can play with that. The idea is that if you run a script manually, you should be prepared that window to come to the front. It will come to the front. It won't generally stay hidden. You should expect to play with that and see what the behavior is. Generally, people don't have a problem with it. It behaves as they expect, because normally if they're going to go get some data, like in a supporting file, they probably won't have a startup script in a supporting file, okay? Like if you have an FM starting point or a CRM, like the Big Valley file, and then say, for example, like in the mobile app. So we have this little mobile app that runs that we collect photos on. And so it's a parallel little second file. And in fact, you're going to see that momentarily on Go. Normally the script controls what you're seeing on screen. So it's not really an issue of what you're, because the script says go to this layout in this file or here or there, but I don't normally put startup scripts on all the supporting CAS files, right? All the files that I can consider supporting. Okay. In my world, I try to have a main FMP12 file. I try to stay in a single file as much as I can for simplicity, especially for the beginners to intermediate developers. That's why when we ship starting point, it's one file. I do that as an example. It's the way I built these folks here. I only used a second file at BVA because I wanted to take pictures. I wanted to do it with a lightweight little file, okay, as opposed to the giant CRM, right, which could go run slower on a mobile phone, right? So let's talk about this a little bit more. So there's your implicit file. So FileMaker Pro, when I said macro windows, can show more than one window at a time. You can put different windows on the screen. You can have them tall, narrow column. You can have 3 or 4 monitors surrounding. Some of you seen my multi-display. All my engineering stations where I code and do development, I have 2 or 3 32-inch monitors surrounding me, like Darth Vader. Darth Vader's bathroom. Right? And I can see everything, right? And I'll put window, 4 or 5 windows. Now, Go can only show you one at a time. However, there is a selection option where it'll do something. So I'm going to come over here, and I made a little video for you folks. The idea is, and I'm just doing this as a recap. If you click this at the top, which is the name of the window, it will pop down this interface where you can see all the open windows at all. Either they're explicit or implicit. It shows you both. And so you click here. I'm going to watch this. Here it goes. And it goes down. And then you see right there. So that's one window. This is another window, okay? And it tells you the name of the server, right? And so over there, this one's a local file, this one's a hosted file, and I can come over and then click on it, select it, and make it active, right? Makes sense? And then if I click at the top, push the button, we're back to this interface, right? So in this case, both these windows were explicitly opened, okay? I'm pretty sure the implicit files are shown in here too. So here's the rub. This is why this is kind of more of an issue. But I'm gonna go ahead and quit Keynote here. Is that when you get into WebDirect, WebDirect is this, some people love WebDirect. Oh, it's the most amazing thing ever, right? Well, WebDirect does not support this interface here at all. There is no interface here like this in WebDirect. So FileMaker Go and FileMaker WebDirect are what they call a single document interface. You can only see one interface at a time. So if I come over here and I stop, you see one window at a time, one window. So it's a single document interface, okay? WebDirect, on top of it being in a browser, right, is not going to spawn other browser windows. So it's a single document interface. It lives in one browser window, Safari, Edge, Google Chrome, whatever. Some people even try to use Firefox with it. I guess they have some level of success with that. So the thing is that you have to keep track of the names, right? Because here's the deal. In over here in FileMaker, I can come up here and click, and I come up here and I say, right now I have one explicit window, no implicit windows. It works the same on Windows, okay? So I can see that. In Go, I can kind of come over here and see this. Like if the mechanic's over here, he's working, he's taking pictures. He calls me on Saturday. He's like, hey, I'm taking pictures of this plane, Carlton, and your don't work. He's nice about it, but that's what he says. And I go, well, if he couldn't find it, I might have him come to this window and look at this. Now, if he was on WebDirect on an Android device, he couldn't do this at all. The rub with WebDirect on Windows or WebDirect anywhere is that it doesn't, the windows are there, but they're invisible. There's no interface to see them. They are on the browser. They're virtual. They're like, it's like an imaginary character, Margaret, in your head, right? Margaret's been working on a number of fictional fantasy fiction books, doing a great job working on getting publishers. And sometimes Margaret's working on a story, right, that's out in front of her head and it's only in her head. Well, that's how WebDirect is. You cannot see them. They're there if you could call them. And so what I'm going to come over here to the browser real quick. I think I have it
Wait.
right. Yes. So see here at the top,
Are they
look here at the
considered
top. So
explicit or implicit on WebDirect then?
it
If you
doesn't
can't
matter.
see them.
It,
So you
it,
can't even if you have scripts to interact with them, you can't interact with them at all.
no. Oh yeah,
You
the
can't
script. No,
swap
no, 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 no.
focus.
The scripts. Okay, back up. This is an important thing. Okay. If I'm coding over here, say we're coding right here. It's this. I'm going to use this as an analogy right here. Or let me bring this up. New window. Okay, I bring up a new window, and I'm over here, saying we're working on this workload over here. And I want a script that's going to go over here to this test record right here. Press a button here, go over here, do some, come back. Okay. I can tell the system I want to go to this other file, open this other file, or perform a script in this other file, and FileMaker will grab the most recently used window from that file. So in this case right here, we have two files. Each one of them has one window open. Okay, makes sense. If I call a script and say go over, because once again, when you tell a script to go to another file and run a script over there, remember how scripts work. You write a script, the script can only directly interact generally with the file it lives in. If you want it to do in another file, you have to call a script over there. It's like you have to call ahead. 240, Robert, come in. Yeah, I want you to run a script over there for me. Oh, Roger that. So it does it for you. Then it returns. That's all I did. Script parameters and script results, little messages on the footballs. We talk about that. So the script, one script is not going to operate between point A and point B. The point script A in this file will call a script that lives in B, and it will do stuff, and then it will return. However, once it returns, it's going to, maybe it finishes and it goes back to script A. So script A, script B, script A calls B, does some stuff, copies a value, maybe copy paste, which is a bad thing, but copy, comes back, it pastes it. Okay, very simple concept. So FileMaker will spawn this window. It'll bring it forward, spawn it. If it was implicit, it'll make it explicit. It'll do stuff. The window will flash. You'll see windows flashing back. It's flashing, right? And then it will come back. And so then this one comes back to the front over here. So it starts here, goes here, does some stuff. You'll see this probably flash, or the screen flash, or something will happen. If you could freeze it, great. But FileMaker's always had a history of doing flashy things with the interface. We get used to it as a developer. We try to minimize it, but it does a flashy thing, then it comes back, right? So that's how a script works. So what was your question again, Margaret? It's because I want to make sure I answer the question.
It was about Windows and WebDirect, and like if there are windows offloading WebDirect, can you like swap the focus to like access the window like you can in Go?
So back up. So if I call a script over here,
yes,
there's only one window open in file B. This is file A. I say open up, run the script over here. Even if I don't tell it to open the window, there's only one window for file B that's open right now. Okay, so it's going to use that window.
You understand what you're going to see it on, and it won't be able to happen invisibly. You're going to see the whole thing happen on WebDirect, no matter.
Well, it'll probably flash, or on WebDirect it might not flash very much at all. Depends on the client. But once again, this behavior this is not WebDirect behavior. This is ProGo and WebDirect. All three of these do the same thing. If I come over here, let me close this. Let me close this. Let me close this. So we're going to create a file. I'm going to say, okay, I hate that. There we go. Create a blank file. Okay. Create A on the desktop. Create. Okay. Great. I'll just put name. Great. Yeah. Yeah. No reserve pressure. Okay. Great. There's A. Okay. Then I'm going to create B real quick. Okay. So we can all have this in our heads. This is very important. Create new blank. Let's see. Hello. B, desktop, save, address, I don't know. Loompas. All right, so these are like some sort of creatures that help Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's B. So file A, file B, okay? If I have a script, so notice that there's one window open for each file.
Yes.
That way, okay? One window open for each file. And so if I'm in script A and I say script B, do some, it's going to use this window. It has to have a window that's open to do the script stuff. It's going to use, now, if the window might be hidden off the screen, you could have it like, well, I'm going to give it coordinates to have it off the side or something. Fine, whatever. But even if it's off the side of the screen, it's still going to jump there. If it's over here, it might, if they were like on top of each other, right? Because remember in Go and WebDirect, they'll be like this. You can only see one, right? And then it might go here, and then it might go up in real flash, and it might come back and flash. See, that's the difference between Pro, Go, and WebDirect. Pro is a multi-window environment on Mac and Windows. Go, because of the screen real estate issue, is a single document interface. You only have to have one area. And I'm not going to discuss splitting the screen into operating system and splitting the screen and putting different, those are different applications and different windows. That being said, WebDirect is limited by the one browser. It's all in, this would be inside a browser, right? So it can't really, we'll put this one over here and put this one over here. They're stacked on top of each other. Okay, does that make sense? So here's the deal. What if I have another window open on B? And it's in a different spot doing something else. Then if A calls B, say I'm over here, there's A, I'm on A, and it's going to call B. If you don't specify, it's just going to jump to the first window on B that was last being, because there's B and B2.
Oh.
It's going to use B2. Now that may not matter, but if you want to use
in the wrong context.
That's why you have to be careful about the context. And not only that, because a lot of times these things auto create names like B2, then you'll have B whatever, and it'll give these like elaborate names. So a lot of times, especially with WebDirect, since you can't see it, as I create a window, I will have it give itself a name. So this could be Alpha. And this could be called Bravo, B-R-A-V-O over here, right? And then Doggy Bravo or something, whatever. And so they have explicit names. So then you can call when you're running a script in B, right? You go to script workspace. We're going to create a script real quick. Create a script. Show me Bravo. Well, here's the problem. What we need to do is we need to say new window. We're going to create a new window in B. And this is the important thing we're going to do. We're going to use the current layout. Fine. And if you leave this blank, it's going to do something that you won't entirely know what it is. It'll be like Bravo-2 or something or whatever. I'm going to give it Beaver 5, one of my favorite animals, the hardest working creatures on the planet, super beavers, right? They build dams. And so if I run, so let's just say I have B2 is open. I'll say I'm in B. There has to be at least one. If I close this window, then we're closing the file, right? Oops, save all changes. It's gone. So if I go to A, script workspace, and I say create, find something in B, I can come over here and I can say perform script, right? And I can say perform the script. From where? Well, I don't want to be in file A. I want to be in file B. So I have to add a FileMaker data source, right?
Yeah.
And that is where you're going to add B.
Yes.
No, I don't want to authorize it. Right. I don't want to get into that. This is where
but
the
won't
files
it not open Windows now or no?
It should still work. Let's just try that. So I'm going to go to B. Oh, is it mad at me?
It's definitely pissed.
Okay. So it defaults to pessimistic mode. Okay, great. Save. I'll try that again. So right now I don't know what's open. So I have workspace for A. A is open, and there's nothing from B. All right, I'm gonna go back to A. I'm gonna go to here. I'm gonna attempt to do this again. I'm gonna say, okay. I'm gonna say manage data sources. There's B. I'm gonna delete it. This time when I add it, I'll have it go ahead and authorize. Gee whiz, killing me. Let's see, file A, add a data source, show me B. Once again, if I was using files that were on the server, I would have both files on the server and I would connect them that way. It would be the easiest, or you could do it locally. I'm gonna say open B and say yes, let's go ahead and do the default. Now it shows me, since it's authorized, it shows me that script, okay? So if I'm over here on A, now we opened it. See, we were working on it with scripts. It's hiding.
Oh, so does it have to be relationally attached? If you're messing around with it in scripts, then it'll open it implicitly?
Yeah, it's going to open. It has to listen to show stuff, to interact with it at all. At a minimum, it has to be implicitly opened. Okay?
quick related question about implicit opens. Can you implicit open windows within the same file? Or is it only other files that are attached?
Can you implicitly open windows from
the same file? So if I wanted to have...
back. Normally when you open them up, they open explicitly. Really, at the end of the day, listen, the only...
Even if you launch them like 1,000 degrees off screen, it'll be considered an explicit open?
You're asking an edge case because I would ask you, what's the benefit of that?
I just was curious if it run the startup script or not.
I don't know the answer to that question, but because here's the thing. It's not going to run the startup script because you already opened the file.
Oh, right. Doesn't matter. Never mind.
So you're asking me a question in 30 years or 35 years now. I'm like, I don't know, but I've never asked that question. Then I'm asking, why haven't I never done that before? And then I suddenly, the issue is A, knowing that the files are up here, and B, if I open this right now, like I let go, if there's a startup script there, it's going to run.
Yes.
Okay.
But since you've already run the startup script for A, it doesn't matter if you explicitly
It doesn't matter if
open Windows.
Because it's already done. It's already done.
Got it.
It did its first startup script. Yeah, I got that. So here we have B. It's going to run Bravo. Okay. So now notice that on here, I'm going to go ahead and save that, close this, close that. So here we have A. The B window is hidden and it's implicit. If I run the script, let me just do a script debugger. If I got a script debugger, and I'm gonna run the script over here, find something in B, which doesn't do very. Now it's going to call. Remember, A can't really directly interact with B. You have to like call your, hey, I got my inside buddy. Hey, B. You're going to owe me a case of beer if I do this for you. Yeah, it's a favor. Got it. So A is going to get a favor from B. It's going to run a script for it. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to run it. Click. Okay. And so it opens up. So, and it renamed the name. It opened a window because it ran script. So let's see what it did. Aha. Now B is interesting because B doesn't have the parentheses on it. It's hidden, but it's been explicitly processed because this and this belong to the same file. Since it's down here, the gig is up, right? It's like a stealth bomber. You're flying into hostile territory.
Okay.
And then they show up on radar. The gig's up, baby. You're on radar.
The initial implicit window is still open, but it's no longer considered implicit because
it's hidden. Up here, it's hidden. It's hidden. Okay. It's hidden, but it's already without the parentheses. It's not stealthy anymore. It's not hiding.
Yes.
It's been detected on radar. It ran the startup script. The gig's up. Okay.
We have a startup script question related from Jesse, which actually makes me wonder if we should do a session on startup scripts. Really? Do you recommend setting global constants in the startup script? I assume by constants you mean variables?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we use them. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like super duper duper. Absolutely. Let me just open up. All right. So once again, this BVA solution is our free CRM that we build. Okay. So it's going to, I told to open it up. It spawns the very first part of the first layout, right? It displays this graphic, and then it started running the startup script. So let's take a look, Jesse, at what my startup script does. So it adjusts the window size, it allows air capture, does a 1/10 of a second pause because of some timing issue. Okay. It's going to determine if the startup script is running on server. Remember, PSOS is a client. When you tell it to open up, it's opening the window for the first time virtually, and it runs the startup script. That's on server. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Step down. It's going to write an audit trail. It's going to do a bunch of stuff on the audit trail, blah, blah, blah. Keep going. Keep going. That's being painful. Let's keep going.
Oh, because you're going through 3101 right now.
So. Yeah, I got it. It'll finish here momentarily. Oh my God.
All the variations.
So this is an audit trail one I have, and I call this all the time. So if it's a session, do this. If a session, do that. So here we're setting variables right here.
There's a global variable right there too, right where you're
variable. Another variable right here. We're setting all sorts of stuff. We're doing all sorts of upfront maintenance.
Out of curiosity, if you open script debugger, is that safe to do? Can you show what current variables are hanging out just from the startup script alone?
Yes, it'd be better to start it from the beginning. Well, we haven't gone very far. Okay, so let's see. So these are all the fields that are on the current layout. So what you're looking for are at the bottom are the variables, and these are all global fields right now. So we're setting global fields because we still use those sometimes. So that's a global field and the global variable, very similar. Global fields existed before global variables, and everyone used global fields as a variable. Then once upon a time, Claris created, hey, we're going to create global variables for you. And so then, of course, we had all this legacy that was coded with global fields, right? So either way, the startup script is going to set all those.
Jesse has a follow-up comment. I didn't mean variables, by the way. We use global constants in our TOs.
It doesn't matter if you're okay, back up. So if you're setting a global field, a global variable, or you're setting a constant's either going to be driven by a global field or global variable, or it'll be a text or number value that's in preferences. So these are globals here. Once again, these right here drive. These are constants that drive portals right here for Big Valley. So so when they open up for the first time, it's going to show their active and preliminary projects right here. So remember, Margaret, the other day we were talking about, oops, shoot, hang on. Okay, there we go. We're talking about you having a global that drives a portal. That's what Jesse's talking about, I think. And we're setting these G's up here, these global fields, because they will be the parent side of relationship to a child table, and then a portal will drive off of that. So we set these up here on the front end. That's what we do.
Yeah, so there you go.
So then here we go down, we set these 4. Then we set a variable. See, here's the deal. The reason you still use global fields, and they're mostly globals for the most part, is because you cannot, at the end of the day, I'm just going to go ahead and just let this play out. You cannot use, if I go to relationships real quick, you cannot use in a relationship here, you cannot use a variable in a relationship.
Oh, right. You mentioned this yesterday.
Yes,
okay.
I did to you over the weekend. So you cannot use a variable, any variable for any reason in the relationship here. It has to be, if you want something like a variable, then it has to be kind of a global that you're going to use, or it has to be off of a single record table, like a preference table. So it's a preference table is a table. It's a table, but only has one record. So therefore, if you set data into any of the fields in that one record, they act as a kind of like a global, except they're saved on the server. So that's why we still have to use global, absolutely mandatory, as Nick would say. They use global fields or fields in the relationship on the parent side. Some people could try to use them on the child side. It's kind of a weird thing that they're doing with that, but generally it's common to see them on if this is the parent side, like over here, parent side, child side, we bring up this relationship right here. Over here could be this, but then over here could be, like we saw that one where it said, show me the preliminary and active projects they're working on.
I think there's actually one in work orders if you want to, the one that I made. If you want to pull up
a global one. Is it still in there?
It should be. I haven't. Oh, you just flung it up. Go up. Scroll up. You just flung past it. There it is.
Is it right here? So this is one that Mario was playing with. So yeah, it's a global on the parent side. And so she could set that in the startup script. Or you'd set it as part of as a process. Like if you're on the home screen, you're going to navigate to some place where that portal's at. On the way to that layout where the portal's going to be there, you would set the value in here. You don't have to set it in the startup. It's just sometimes you want to. Does that make sense? I mean,
Jesse's follow-up is, oh my God, like a middleman TO. That seems cleaner than having globals all over every table like I'm currently dealing with in my preferences table. We should probably have a chat about this.
Well, we should probably, do we want to bump preferences up on Friday, right? The preference table concept.
We could do that because inheritance is fun, but we also don't have time to prepare for it this week, I don't think.
No, the preferences table is an important one. Jesse's asking some relevant questions here. So, Jesse, you are exactly kind of where Margaret's at. You two need to really be asking questions here. And
Jesse says you don't have a preference table, so.
I don't. She doesn't.
No, she doesn't have a preference table.
Well, she could always add one. It's not that hard. You go, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ready for this? You go here, and then you say preferences, and then you hit create.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited. I know It's okay, and that was in all caps. So, okay. We did derail a bit off of the Windows conversation. This has been a good conversation, and I'm
Well,
going to
it's
pencil in.
the window management. Here's the deal with window management. The window management, generally for basic and intermediate developers, Windows management is handled automatically by FileMaker. That's why a lot of you here are going, yeah, it works great. It's fine. I don't have to deal with it because you've never had a problem with it. But if you get into a deal where you're in WebDirect and you have multiple windows open on a file, you have to say, if you're in a script and you run the script in that file in WebDirect and it has two windows that are open, there's nowhere to see them except with this one script up. We'll go there, but you need to keep track of your windows. You know, they have a window called contacts and a window that's called this and a window that's called that. So you can call that window as necessary. If you're building a real basic solution, it's less of a issue. Before we got going here, Margaret and I were looking at some scripts. So this right here is a function called window names, right? So if I go over here and I come here and I come over here, and I'm just going to go into the watch and I'm going to punch this in. So if I put this Windows name in here and I would say get, so it's not all the windows on the client. Margaret, is there a version of this that works on the client, like all of them on the client?
I don't know. If you go type window into the searchy thingy next to you, it'll bring up every current window option.
Is that going to work or not? Did not work. Get file name. It's in brackets in here. Get. What is this wrong? Window.
Was there an extra bracket? Did you accidentally extra bracket yourself?
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Yeah, because you deleted one, which made MBS unhappy. Yep.
And then get file name. Is this going to work? I'm not sure.
You have to add another. You have to add.
Yeah, I don't. There we go. So it works on a per file basis. And I go, problem is the file is called B, but I don't know if I have a path there to get to it. I'm just going to try that. Yeah, no, you'd have to get figure. I have to read up on what it's looking for on the paths, but that's the thing. So you'd figure out what file. See, this is why so you can, this is like, if you're seeing the people on the freeway, right? And they're cleaning up the trash. Normally it's someone who owes public service hours for something they did in some sort of penance to society. They don't have jail time per se, but they get to go clean up the freeway. Or you volunteer because you like to clean up the freeway. Okay. So it's a lot of work to clean this up on the backside. It's a hell of a lot easier as you're creating the windows to keep track of what you're doing on the front end, where I created Beaver 5 and I create Alpha 1. And if I know I created Beaver 5 and Alpha 1, I keep those in like variables so I can go and access them, as opposed to going, I've totally lost track of what I'm doing. Let me try to triage it with a get window thing. And then it doesn't work. And I need the path name and this other stuff. And so instead of throwing trash out the window of your car and causing a ton of work for yourself later, assuming that you were the person who would clean up your own mess, just don't throw trash out the window. It makes the freeways a lot easier to clean.
Yes.
Sorry. For those of you who take your McDonald's food or whatever fast food you have and you whoosh, chuck it out the window because you don't want to be bothered with a Big Mac wrapper on your floorboard.
I have questions, not about the Big Mac wrappers.
Okay, go ahead. Give me questions.
2 questions. First of all, I'd like to talk about card style windows briefly.
Okay.
Do those set off
card style
triggers? Are those windows? Are they windows? Are they imaginary windows? Are they just
well, okay, what a card style window? Oh, that's a good point. We should try that.
Do you have to name
Yes.
them?
You want to try this? This will be fun. So I'm going to go to data viewer. I'm going to bring up watch. And I'm going to come over here to what I want to do is I'm going to get this working first. We're going to go back to this. I'm going to say window names. And then we're going to say the current, the bracket there is. So hang on. Hold on. I'm doing this. Give me a second. File.
No, David said that his description of a card window was funny. So.
Okay, we'll save that for a moment. I want this to work. Okay, now we have this working. So I'm going to say monitor. So it's monitoring right here.
Yes.
So now what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here to work orders. And then I'm going to spawn.
You're not going to click my button. You're going to go click your button because my button might be still doing weird stuff.
This one right here. If I hit this one. Okay, now Now, this is one window. This is a second window. The fact that they're on top of each other doesn't mean anything. They should be two separate windows. Okay.
Okay, so it is an actual window. So if you name it, can you call it to do specific stuff?
See that? See that?
Yeah.
But what card style window is kind of modal, right? Modal is this idea. So non-modal means you can do whatever you want, jump around different windows. Like I'm on this window, then I'm on this window, and then, oh, actually, right now this is modal right here. Let me go and say monitor. But over here, you really can't, it's got you locked into this one thing. So it's kind of a lockdown. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to put you in handcuffs in the back of the car. Sir, license, registry. You're drinking and driving. Okay, back of the police car. All right, so now you're in the back of the police car, and to get out of this, you have to go to court, go to jail, go wherever, right? So this right here is to get out of the police car, get out of jail, monopoly, right? Get out of jail, go
pay $200,
pay $200, that whole thing, right? So yeah, so license and registration. So a card is a window. They just happen to be smashed together, and it limits what the user can do. Now, cards, here's the deal. Why are cards? So we want to get to a couple things here. There's a couple things you can do. One is the card style window, which is handy. It's a kind of window. If you go up under here under new window, it doesn't really say what you're going to get. You're going to get a document window with all the bells and whistles. If you go to the new window script step, it comes up with.
Can you flick your mouse up and down the thing so it actually loads? Because otherwise it's having. There we go. Now I can see what you were clicking.
Okay, can you see that right there?
Yes.
Or just click like that. There we go. So,
yes.
So new window script step gives you more options. One of the options is card. No one uses the other options anymore. They use documents or the top one, and they use card. All the other ones were in between failed projects that Claris built that no one uses. So, I mean, they were big in FileMaker 13 or 12 or something, but 14, I think a lot of them came out 14. But the card is the big one because it's modern and it looks nice. So that's how you can kind of look like you're doing stuff. Now, here's the other thing. The card style, Buckley, he's on, I'll get back to him 1 second. So the card style is one way of showing additional information on your layout without leaving. The other thing you could do is a popover window or a popover object. It's a popover window, popover button. What do we call these things? Popover buttons?
I think they're called popovers. I think that's straight up.
Let me see. It's right here. If you click on this, it's a popover button.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a popover button. And all it does is it spawns additional screens. So we have like on this is Big Valley, right? And we give them some options here to duplicate the work order, clean it up, do this, do that. The other thing, print is another one. When they print, every time I'm down here almost, so we're now up to discrepancy reports, airframe logs, parts and consumables, time labor report, which is a new thing. And I have to finish that for you, Paul Jr. But that way they can see their time entries in their system as they're wrenching on the aircraft. So so this is like a giant area that's here, but it's on this window. Why is this here? This was created mostly out of complaining and requests by Go and WebDirect people who they couldn't do multiple windows. See, in Pro, we could have spawned this you could be on this window and you could spawn this smaller window over here that would show you those options. You could, right? But you can't do that with Go or WebDirect, right? So with Go or WebDirect, they fully support this exact behavior. It works identically. So this was a way, the popover button is just a real estate item that's on here, but it was created specifically to placate the angry hordes at the front of the Claris building with burning pitchforks in their hands who wanted something that made Go and WebDirect not suck so much. So this really, the popover button really helps Go, FileMaker Go and WebDirect, but it works universally with Pro, so you can build it once and take it anywhere is the idea. Whereas if you build an interface that, pops this, then you pop a little slice of something else over here, and you got this one, and maybe they stack up, right? You stack them because you can set them up to stack. I got this one right here, and I got this one right here. I got 3 windows, man. That right there you cannot do in WebDirect and Go. Okay, so it's a Pro Mac Windows solution only. But if you want to do Similar sort of thing. So it makes sense, Margaret. Now you understand the history of this. Is like, right? Sometimes the world that we live in FileMaker is being created organically. This is something actually the newer people down there trying to figure out, like, how did Claris become successful? And how is it organically done, right? How's that like? So anyway, because it's 35 years of development and we keep iterating and adding things that the customers need, the customer being the developers or the people who write the checks to pay for the software. What do they need? And they take notes and they make it better and they make it better. And then some new gee whiz tech comes out, right? The Apple Vision stuff, nothing has happened with that yet. But what if now that's another interface. What if it doesn't support floating in front of your head and you're waving at it with your paws, right? You're out there waving at it, right? What does that mean? What kind of functions would we need for that? If we're waving, like you see me up there going, pushing the button, right? And how does that different than, what does that mean? So the world continues to change. FileMaker changed with it. This is what it's supposed to do. It's modern. Yes, another question.
Yes. This is kind of dumb, but I don't remember off the top of my head. If you swap between two windows of the same FileMaker database, or I guess even two different databases, and you don't hit commit, will it commit for you, or are you screwed?
Yeah, it's going to commit if you jump. Well, no. Okay. So I've started editing over here. The box is around it. I jump over here. I click in here. I type in there. If I click over here, yeah. So you can.
It's not committed.
No, it's not. But if you jumped from a different window within the same file, it's good. I think, Mike, I should check this about the time I say something dumb. Well, the problem is it's another window. So if I'm over here and I'm editing and then I click on this and I start, well, okay, let me create a new record.
That looks like it still invokes on the other end.
Ah, yeah, you got them locked up. So that's, of course, we run into that all the time where you lock yourself out of a record, right?
Yes.
Because then you click out, you come over here, you click out, you come over here, or you come back to record one, and you're like,
okay,
and you lock yourself out. So
if you move between windows and you haven't actually committed, it does not commit for you.
You run the risk of locking yourself out of your own car, right? How many times does that happen? I've done that a number of times. My children have done that to me a number of times. Hey, Daddy, get out of the car. Get out of the car, click. And it's running inside. Oh, it's running.
I was there for that one. I know exactly what incident you're thinking of.
Okay. And I didn't have this at the time. My cell phone was dead. Oh, my cell phone was in the car. So I had to pay some dude $40 and I make one call to the OnStar people on your phone. $40. Let me use your phone right in front of you. I'm not calling a 1-800-900 number on your phone. One call. All right. Well, that's the end of the conversation for today. We can come back with more questions later on. I'm going to stop sharing.
Also, Mike from Milwaukee, I did see your question about basically.
What is the question?
It's about data modeling, actually. So.
Ooh. Can we bring that up back on Friday? Is that going to be too late for Mike? Does Mike need an answer faster, or what is that?
The basic question is hold on. It was the very first one of today. Answer this now or later. Do high-end developers all use normalization to design databases?
Well, some. I mean, you don't have to normalize 100% of everything. Generally, in structured databases, we do. There's a happy medium in FileMaker where you want to normalize it, but then you run into some SQL people who are kind of excessively excited about perfectly normalized. The fancy textbook term when you see that is anal. So they will anally normalize everything, but yeah, there's a happy medium in the world of FileMaker, and you should be aware of that. So we can talk about that if he gives us a specific example of what he's trying to decide to do.
Yeah, he said something about many to many. So I'm a novice looking for pathways to understand how many to many propagates the tables. I learn best by example.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about many-to-many, check out the FileMaker Pro training bundle with the videos on it, including the many-to-many videos. Visit fmtraining.tv, press the bundles button, and then purchase either the one of the three bundles. It's in the Pro training under many-to-many. It's a pretty good video. It's a bunch of them in there. I mean, I know this is free and no one wants to spend money, but I'm only willing to dance on stage so long for free before someone has to pay me. So I'm at the end of my allotted time right now.
Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you so much. We hope you have a lovely day. We're gonna only run the closing music now and not have Claris run 5 videos simultaneously.
That was ugly. All right, thanks.
Bye, everybody.